Welcome back to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. As the Reds do in Cincinnati, some youngsters out at the base paths as we celebrate America with our national anthem, and we're ready to play some baseball here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Let's take a look last night at what transpired. Sean Casey's second home run, back-to-back with Vaughn, and then Pokey Reese added a third. That's all the Reds needed for a 3-0 victory. Let's take a look at the Mercury starting lineup for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Jeffrey Hammonds is back in center field leading off. Barry Larkin, the shortstop, will bat second. Sean Casey, a double and a home run last night, leading the National League in hitting going into today's games with a .529 average. And Vaughn came through with a 2-for-4 night last night, as well as his second home run of the year. He's in the cleanup spot. The switch hitting Dimitri Young will bat fifth. Eddie Taubensee, with a right-hander on the mound for St. Louis, will catch. Chris Steins will play third. Pokey Reese, the second baseman, bats eighth, and Brett Tomko, the pitcher, bats in the number 9 position. The young right-hander for the St. Louis Cardinals, Jose Jimenez.
Jose Jimenez has got a pretty good sinker out there. He was a 1998 last year, the pitcher of the league in the Texas League, and had a pretty good record. He did. 3.1 earned run average, 15-6 record overall. A lot of people thought that he would start the season in AAA and get a lot more experience down in the minor leagues before being pressed into Major League service. But when you lose the 2 top pitchers on your pitching staff, Alan Bennis and Matt Morris, Tony La Russa had to dig deep, and he got this man who's got pretty good talent. The Reds saw him last year, 3 innings. They didn't do much with him in the time they saw him, and really looked for only 2 different pitches from him. He's got a hard sinker that he just really goes to about 90% of the time, a little bit of a slider that'll cut away from right-handers, but it'll be a tough task for him today unless he learns how to change speeds, because this Reds ball club, a very good fastball hitting team.
25-year-old right-hander who made his debut in September, and the Reds are ready to get rolling. Sean Casey, the man of the hour last night. He ignited the Reds with a leadoff home run in the 7th inning that gave Cincinnati a 1-0 lead, and Jeffrey Hammonds would like to do the same this afternoon. Hammonds will lead it off. Larkin and Casey will follow here in the 1st inning. Vaughn, a couple of hits last night, including home run number 2 for him. Bright sunshiny day right now. There was some rain overnight, some clouds in the morning, and there's some more rain coming later this afternoon. So the Reds hope that they can use this window to get victory number 2 on the year. The umpiring crew for today: the crew chief Frank Pulley's behind home plate. Charlie Williams is over at first. Greg Bonet is at second, and Jeff Nelson is your third base umpire. Nelson had a 2-hour and 15-minute game last night, so the pressure's on the crew chief Frank Pulley to come in similar to that. What a crisp game it was last evening. Pete Harnisch was in control. That's a little bit low. 2 balls and 1 strike. The Reds, after the victory last night, 1-3. The Cardinals 2-2. Strike on the outside corner. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Can Brett Tomko do the same thing as he goes over signs with Eddie Taubensee that Harnisch did last night? He sure hopes so. Hammonds thought it was up and away, but a different view from the home plate umpire Frank Pulley, and here's strikeout number 1.
Jimenez has some pretty good movement on his pitches. He's going for the outside corner right there, and that's one of those pitches that starts outside and cuts back. He's got that funky little arm angle, a little bit lower than 3/4, and he has a lot of side-to-side movement.
Here's the Reds captain, Barry Larkin. Larkin, 176 on the young season. The Reds, in addition to the great pitching last night from Harnisch, came up with some pretty good defense too. Double plays got him out of trouble twice. Hit pretty good center field. J.D. Drew on his horse. Warning track got it. He moves smooth out there. He probably will play mostly in right once Ray Lankford is back, but he's filled in well in center. Here's a look at Drew on the move.
Well, Drew, you talk about his offensive sweet swing he has, but boy, he really gives you the confidence that any ball that he can get to, he'll bring in. Very smooth outfielder. Reminds you in the way he plays much in the way of Mike Cameron. Both of those guys very confident in the way they go about their fly balls.
2 away, and here's Casey. Sean last night, the star for the Reds, offensively igniting them in the 7th. And the interesting story is the home plate umpire Frank Pulley was at first. In the 6th inning, the bottom of the 6th, Pulley said to Casey, standing by first base, "Hey, we need a run. Somebody's got to get a run." So it was a 0-0 game at that time, and Casey turned to him and said, "I'll get you a run." And he came up to lead off the next inning and drilled a home run to left center. The Reds were on their way to a 3-0 lead. How about this? That's going back. It's gonna be gone. Sean Casey ignites it with home run number 3. Around the batting cage today, they were saying, "Can Casey pull?" And everyone with the Reds was saying, "Yeah, just give him some time." Boy, does he pull this one. 1-0 Cincinnati. The Reds have the lead. Home run number 3 for Sean Casey.
Well, Sean's got 3 home runs on the year. You're right, George. The first one was down the left field line on opening day, a slicing home run. The next was last night to left center field, and this time he gets the bat head out and pulls it. No question about that. That is his wheelhouse right there. He told me last night anybody pitches him down is going to find themselves in some serious trouble.
He's getting used to the high fives and the congratulations. Sean Casey, home run number 3, and here's Vaughn. They went back-to-back last night. Can they do it again? Hit pretty good to left, going back to the warning track, to the wall, and there to make the catch is McEwing. Vaughn tried to duplicate, didn't do it, but Casey gives the Reds a 1-0 lead. To the bottom of 1 we go. Polanco, Drew, and McGuire due up. Let's check the Mercury starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals of Tony La Russa. Placido Polanco is your second baseman. He'll lead it off. J.D. Drew bats second. Mark McGuire's fresh off his 70 home run season of a year ago, hits in the 3 spot. The former Red Eric Davis cleanup. Fernando Tatis hits 5th. He's got 3 home runs already this year, tied for the league lead. Sean Dunston, the former Cub, is your shortstop today. Castillo the catcher, McEwing in left, and Jimenez the pitcher bats in the number 9 spot. Here's Brett Tomko, the Reds right-hander.
Oh, Brett Tomko would like to turn it around, and right now the Reds have gotten him a run. For Tomko, it's really a matter of harnessing his emotions out there. He calls himself having some mechanical problems on opening day. I think some observers thought that he was just simply trying too hard and jumping at the hitters. If he can relax a little bit, Brett Tomko can be as good as anybody.
Tomko 0-1 this year. Delivers to Polanco, left center. Hammonds under it, has it, and there's one away. Let's check the defensive alignment for the Cincinnati Reds. Jeffrey Hammonds is in center field today. Greg Vaughn on our forward defensive alignment is in left. Dimitri Young is in right. Chris Steins gets his first start of the year. He's at third for Aaron Boone, who's still nursing that viral infection. Larkin, Reese, Casey as usual around the infield, and Eddie Taubitz gets the start with the right-hander going. There's the Reds' jack of all trades. Chris Steins at third today. J.D. Drew. Last night, Drew had a base hit, a single to center that almost gave Pete Harnish a haircut. He had a 1-for-4 night and 2 strikeouts. Loop to left, Vaughn coming over, and he holds on. Wow. Nice catch, Greg Vaughn. He got a late break on it, but closed fast and robs Drew of a base hit. Another look.
He did get a late break, but the ball held up there just enough, and good effort by Greg Vaughn. You see him go down, and of course on natural grass, Vaughn would rather play on natural grass. Anybody would. Not afraid to go down, leave his feet, and make a nice catch.
Here's Big Mac against Tomko. 2 out, bottom of the 1st. Breaking ball down and away. Harnish last night struck out McGuire, gave up a single to left, struck him out, and then McGuire ended the game with a fly ball to the warning track in right. In his career, McGuire 3 for 11 against Tomko. Two and 1. It's still a show here in St. Louis. Tough to do anything but watch this guy take batting practice. He puts on quite a show. Fastball away, 3 balls and 1 strike. Not just for the fans, but for his own teammates and the visiting teams too.
I mean, it's just that Mark McGuire in batting practice hits the ball so much farther than anybody else on the field. Yeah, other guys are going to hit home runs in BP, but he's regularly reaching the upper deck. It absolutely is amazing.
3-2, 2 outs. Tomko to McGuire. High ball 4. So Big Mac goes to first, and Casey and McGuire will get to renew their acquaintanceship. Tomko trying to make good on an off-key opening day start. Brett, who turned 26 years of age this past week, April the 7th, had that look of determination today, Chris. We really saw it yesterday, and he came to the park today with a game face on. Very dissimilar to what he usually has. You could tell he's been thinking a lot about that start.
Yeah, and sometimes you can think a little bit too much on it. You want to be able to temper those emotions. Talking to Pete Harnish before the ball game, I asked him what his pregame routine was, and he says, I'd like to cut up a little bit, but still it's hard because you're so focused, you're so looking forward to that start. And so much for a guy like Brett Tomko is to temper that a little bit, because he's got the ability. Relax, feel comfortable, and after he gets into the groove, you're going to see a pretty good pitcher. But sometimes it's tough to get through the first couple of innings until you feel comfortable.
Some pitchers will go home and just try to forget about their start, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Tomko will agonize over it. If he has access to video, he'll look at it time and time again. There's the 1-1. Davis down to third. Steins. Quick flip to Reese. That'll do it. So walk. No harm, no foul in the first. To the second we go. Dimitri, Eddie, and Chris Steins due up.
Supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance.
Here's Dimitri, who go to the top of the second. Young, Taubensee, Steins due up. Dimitri in at a cool 375 this first week of the season. Tatis in tied at third. The right fielder, Eric Davis, pulled around a step or two towards the line. In center field, J.D. Drew plays Dimitri Young straight away. That's down and in. 2 balls, 1 strike. See Drew just a shade towards left, with Dimitri, who'll use the alleys. He's going for the seats with that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Former Cardinal farmhand who was a former #1 pick here in St. Louis and won a batting title at Louisville for the Cardinals at AAA before the Redbirds moved their AAA team to Memphis. By the way, down in Memphis this year for St. Louis, 2 former Reds, Thomas Howard, Eduardo Perez, on their opening day roster. They each homered in the first game for Memphis at AAA for St. Louis. Eduardo still trying to recover from off-season wrist surgery, and Thomas Howard was with this club until the final days of cut down and ended up down at AAA. 3-2. Corked right at the second baseman. Polanco will throw him out. Let's check our 4 defensive alignment for the Redbirds from St. Louis. Polanco's at second. Sean Dunston gets the start at short. Tatis at third. He came over last year from Texas in July. And of course McGuire at first. The outfield, Joe McEwing, was kind of like Steins for the Reds. He plays everywhere. Drew in center, in for Langford, who's still on the DL, and Davis in right. And Castillo, over from the Mets, is behind home plate. Luis Castillo, not a youngster, 29 years of age. He can catch and throw, and that's what the Cardinals wanted in the offseason. They wanted someone to back up Marrero, who they knew could catch and throw and do it well. Here's Eddie Taubensee, 2 for 10 on the young season. Fouled off. Eddie sat and watched like all of us and marveled at Pete Harnish last night, and he's trying to pump up Brett Tomko today, saying let's keep it rolling before the game. Eddie, one of a number of Reds players who lived in the area that the tornado hit in yesterday. Fortunately, none of the Reds families were immediately affected. Certainly we send our condolences and heartfelt thoughts to those who were. The tragedy of Mother Nature with that tornado. I've lived through a hurricane, and hurricanes, you know, are coming, and tornadoes, you just don't know. They come out of the blue.
Just awful, George. We hope everybody getting along well back home in Cincinnati, and those who have lost a loved one or lost some prized possessions, our hearts go out to you.
Swing and a miss. Taubensee retired. There's out number 2. Eddie lives in that area. Hal Morris, Brian Johnson, a whole bunch of folks. In fact, you know, and you would expect this too. Eddie Taubensee's wife Renee and Hal Morris's wife Megan, they were fine, but even though they have families of their own, they went to one of the aid centers to try to help folks out. And that's one of the great things about Southern Ohio, Northern Kentucky, and Southern Indiana. People help each other, and it's sure coming out this weekend. Great baseball town in St. Louis, great baseball town in Cincinnati, and people here have always opened their hearts in St. Louis to difficult times, and they're doing the same back home. Here's Stein's first at bat of the year. Breaking ball down and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Other game underway in Pittsburgh. Cubs 3 in the second. Lead Pittsburgh 3-1. Top of 3. The Expos got a run in the bottom of the first north of the border. They lead the Mets 1-0 now in the second inning. American League, Kansas City 3. The White Sox 0. Bottom of 1 at Chicago. Baltimore 1. Toronto 0. Top of 4 in Baltimore. And the Yankees lead Detroit 1-0. Top of 4 at Yankee Stadium. Great to see Yogi Berra throw out the first pitch back at Yankee Stadium yesterday.
Mended fences there with Mr. Steinbrenner.
After 14 years.
Never thought I'd see it, really.
Missing outside, 3-2. Yogi, of course, opened a Yogi Berra Hall of Fame in Montclair, New Jersey this year, and George showed up at that, and they were able to. Steve Avery says, "I'm moving."
Usually,
Whoa.
you know, when you're in the third base dugout with a right-handed hitter up there, you can usually get pretty comfortable. But with Chris Steins, maybe he is a little bit ahead of that fastball.
Good scoop by Dunston, and he's got a cannon. He throws him out. 1, 2, 3 for Jimenez in the second. To the bottom of 2. Tatis, Dunston, and Castillo due up. Thanks to Casey's home run, it's 1-0 Reds. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by Boomer's Products, barbecue sauce and salsa, supporting a cure for cystic fibrosis. By your local Jeep dealer. By JTM for your quality times with family and friends. And by the Ohio Lottery. Feel lucky? That one on the Cincinnati scoreboard on our Fox box, courtesy of Reds first baseman Sean Casey. Home run, his 3rd of the year. 1-0 Cincinnati. Here's a guy who's familiar with home run baseball early on. Fernando Tatis tied with Raul Mondesi and Luis Gonzalez for the league lead with 3 round trippers each.
You can add Sean Casey to that group now.
And Tatis was trying yesterday to do what his teammate Mark McGwire did last year, hit home runs in his first 4 games. Pete Harnish stopped him from doing that, but he has been hot. You know, it's amazing, Chris. You watch a Fernando Tatis in batting practice and you say, boy, he sprays a couple of long home run shots, but you put him in the same after McGwire and it looks like it's a little league batting practice compared to Big Mac.
Fence scrapers.
Yeah.
Hey, McGwire throws those back. Well, Tatis will get his share of home runs. He's a free swinger, likes to pull the ball. You get him a low fastball out over the plate that he can get the bat head to, and he's got some power.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Almost reminds you a little bit of Julio Franco, the way he holds his bat way high above his head. Generates a little bit of bat speed that way. But also because he holds it high like that, he's got to get that bat started sometimes too soon and can be fooled by off-speed pitches.
Now you talk about the consistency of the pitching instruction that Tony La Russa's always had, because he and Dave Duncan have been together forever. They were together in Chicago. They went to Oakland together, and they've come here. Here's the 3-2. Fastball is inside. Second walk for Brett Tomko. But the other side of it is there has been a great inconsistency in hitting instructors here in St. Louis. Mike Easler's the new hitting instructor, and it's been every year there's been a change here. So it makes it difficult for young players, especially. Mark McGwire goes by his own program.
Exactly.
He's not going to change, but some of these young players that have had to work with 2 or 3 or 4 hitting instructors, difficult. And that's where Tatis is right now. He's still finding himself offensively. He's going to be a good one, though.
You know, eventually you'll find a coach, a hitting coach, that will become your kind of personal guru, who'll say probably the same thing that all the other coaches said, but say it in a manner in which all of a sudden it really makes sense to you.
Mike Easler still trying to learn his hitters, be comfortable with them. Easler, who's been around.
He could hit a little bit.
Whew. 293 career hitter.
The hit man.
Coached in Milwaukee and in Boston. In fact, he was really Mo Vaughn's personal cat. He was the hitting instructor for Mo Vaughn when Mo was just breaking in Boston. That was when the strike hit. You remember, Easler balked at having to coach players that he called scabs during the strike. Here's Dunston down the middle for a strike. Sean has been around for a lot of opening days, 13 of them, but his 13th opening day start was a strange one in left field. He had an adventure in the rain here at St. Louis. He's at his normal shortstop position today. He had Tatis leaning, but he just does get back.
Well, Dunston is in there obviously for his offense. He's got some power, he's got some speed still. He's got a good arm from shortstop, but at this stage in his career, you wonder how often Dunston's going to be able to play. Last year he played for a couple of different teams, hit .237 for Cleveland, then only a .176 for the Giants.
He's happy to be back in the National League. We saw him with Cleveland last year. He said, "Rescue me." He says, "I want back in the senior circuit." He was not used very much off the bench in Cleveland, used more in San Francisco. And you mentioned, that's a good point you mentioned, Chris, because how much can they use Dunston? How much can they use Eric Davis? It's going to be key for Tony La Russa. Neither of them can play every day.
Yeah, it's not going to be one of these years for La Russa where he can put that same starting lineup in there every day. I mean, it's not really a matter of, for instance, the advantage that Jack McKeon has, that he could play the same lineup if he wanted to, but today he gets Chris Steins a start. Hammonds has been starting last couple of days in center field because he wants to work his extra guys in there. But La Russa, on the other hand, he has to, because the bodies of these guys can't take the day-to-day pounding.
Like, the problem for Jack McKeon will be finding at bats for people like Sweeney and Morris and Hammonds and Tucker. It's not an easy job for the Red skipper. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Brett looks like he's pitching a little bit more cautiously than Pete Harnish did last night, missing a little bit on the first base side of home plate when he misses.
2-2 even in the count. Will La Russa send Tatis from first? Dunston over the years has shortened his swing measurably. You see that it's just a quick delivery of the swing from a hitting position. It was a much more looping swing early in his career. Talk about misunderstood guys. This may be one of the most misunderstood guys we've seen.
Yeah.
You know, people have said he's a complainer, he's a moaner. He just likes to play. Sometimes he'll say things before he thinks about them. There goes the runner, fouled off. The hit and run on. La Russa understands that they didn't have any offense last night. He's trying to manufacture it today.
And especially once you get by McGwire in the lineup, you're looking at guys that really, other than Eric Davis and Tatis, you get by them, and Tatis he's on first base. You got Dunston, Castillo, McEwing, and the pitcher. That's not exactly the bottom half of the order that you think is going to load you up on a lot of runs. So he's got to manufacture whatever he can.
Asked Tony yesterday what he needs. He said, "I need a healthy Ray Langford."
Boy, do they ever.
That fills out this lineup measurably when he's in there. Langford's due to come off the disabled list tomorrow. He said yesterday that he's still at least 2-3 weeks away from being able to play on an everyday basis.
And that's got to chap the Cardinals like nothing else. I mean, after all, it was Langford that went to a doctor who was not a team doctor to get his knee operated on in the winter, and it wasn't even an arthroscopic job. It was one of those cut open deals. And now he's got to tell the ball club when he's able to play. They are some kind of seriously upset about that.
2 balls, 2 strikes as Langford looks on. In fact, when Ray had the operation, it was to the tendons in his knee. He thought he was going to get arthroscopic surgery. He called the Cardinals and said, by the way, I was operated on this week. I had arthroscopic surgery on my knee. Here's the 2-2, runner not going. Popped up. Stein's back. Larkin calling him off. Barry has it. Dunstan's retired. There's your first out. Hey, Lowe's knows. Reds have won 12 of the last 15 against the St. Louis Cardinals. That includes a 10-game winning streak from '97 to last September. Reds are 8-3 against St. Louis last year, and in the early going of this year, 1-0. Remember, last year the Reds didn't play St. Louis till halfway through the season. It was right before the All-Star break. Seems strange.
This year they get the series here in St. Louis, done by July.
One of the thrills of last year was being around in September, the last week of the season. And back-to-back series, the Reds were here as McGuire was chasing the home run record. He hit number 60 off Dennis Reyes. And then the day after the Reds left, he tied and then surpassed Roger Maris. Came to Cincinnati the first day after surpassing Maris. Castillo fouls it off for 1 strike.
Castillo pretty good behind the plate defensively. He's got a good arm, works with the pitchers very well. He was with the Mets last year, but he won't give you much from the offensive standpoint. He only batted .205 last year. A couple of home runs and 7 RBIs total for the Mets.
As a 29-year-old, his career major league average is 198. That tells you why he's up here.
They may have to rename the Mendoza line. Or that will live forever in infamy.
I think it will. I think it will. Once you lay claim to it. Here's the 0-1. Tatis going. Fouled off the end of the bat. He had the base stolen. He had a great jump on Tomko. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by First Star, proud to be the official bank of the Cincinnati Reds.
And one of the reasons Tatis had such a big jump, it was a nice breaking ball, a slow curveball by Tomko that during his last outing on opening day, George, it didn't really seem that he had good feel of. He was just kind of spinning that pitch up there. As I recall, when Tomko has his best pitching days, he's able to get that curveball over, and it's a difference in spin and velocity that really gets a hitter out on his front foot. When he tries to overthrow it, it rolls up there a little bit and becomes much more hittable.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Tatis not going. That's a called strike on the outside corner, and Castillo's punched out. Strikeout number 1 for Brett Tomko, and that'll bring up McEwing.
Nice sequence of pitching right there, because he mixed him up very well. After a slow curveball comes right after with a fastball on the corner up around 90 miles an hour, and you locate it like that to the number 8 hitter in the lineup or 7 hitter in the lineup, and more than likely you're going to get him out.
Two away. Tatis still on at first, and here's McEwing playing left today. 4 for 9 on the young season, a run batted in.
You know, I don't want to take anything away from Joe McEwing because he's a great kid. He's a wonderful kid to watch play, but you can see what kind of trouble the Cardinals are in when you've got this young man who started last year on the bench in Double-A as your starting left fielder today. I mean, you can't really expect him to hit much in the way of power. And when you've got your left fielder batting in the number 8 spot in the lineup, your offense is in trouble.
26 years of age, a lifelong Cardinal. His minor league average is only in the 260s, so he's never been a prime prospect. He's up here as a spare part, and he's making the best of it. If you were to liken him to anyone, it is Chris Steins of the Reds. Steins has more talent and ability, but very similar in their outlook. Just happy to be in a major league uniform and happy every day to show up at the ballpark. Ask them to play anywhere of 6 positions and they'll do it gladly. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Almost had Tatis leaning again.
Tatis not really a base stealer that will just take bases all the time. He had 7 stolen bases last year. Make that 13. He had 7 for the Cardinals last year.
Here comes Dimitri. Can he get there? He does. Dave Collins had moved him over a couple of steps right prior to that pitch before, and it closed fast for Dimitri Young. As McEwing's retired, the Reds have a 1-0 lead as we go to the 3rd. Say, with a Red season ticket, you can catch all the excitement live from Synergy. Whether you want tickets to all 81 home games or prefer weekend or weekday tickets, Reds have a package for you. Choose from the popular 25-game value pack, the Slammer Series, and more. Call the Red season ticket department, 513-421-4510, extension 4320, extension 4320, and join us at the big ballpark by the river. Reds on the road here in St. Louis. Monday, we'll be on the air tomorrow at 2, and then Monday at 2 from Chicago. Off day on Tuesday. The Reds play Wednesday and Thursday, also day games in Chicago. Then back home, the Pirates come to town Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Off day on Monday. Then the Mets will come to town for 3 games, middle of the week, 20, 21, and 22. And then the Astros will get our first look at the defending Central Division champions. Houston comes to town on the 23rd, 24th, 25th. Here's Pokey Reese. Drilled a home run. And the hope is we'll see Denny Nagel in one of those starts when the Reds do get home.
He'll get one more start down in Indianapolis. Tough day to be a left-handed pitcher in the dugout. First it was Avery, then Nagel being chased.
Now you left-handers attract that stuff. Strikeout number 3 for Jimenez. 1 away, and here comes Tomko.
You know, Jimenez has been it's an interesting kind of pitcher because he gives you that low arm angle. He's got a lot of movement on his fastball, but it really amazes me, George, that he's able to throw strikes consistently with his delivery. He just looks like he's flopping all over the place. Look at his glove arm as he begins to throw, and it flops down around his knee and his shoulder flies wide open. It amazes me, number 1, that he can throw strikes, and number 2, that his arm's going to remain healthy, because it looks like to me that that's the kind of delivery that puts a little extra pressure on the shoulder. Time will tell.
Off the plate, Tatis throws him out, 2 away. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by your local Ford dealer.
Here's the delivery. Most pitchers, Maddox's, Randy Johnson's, Roger Clemens, that glove when they throw will be up around the chest, tucked in back the torso. Jimenez, as you see, he flops that baby down around his knees, and when that happens, your front shoulder flies open, and of course that's the number 1 problem that most pitchers go through at one time or another, is they have that front side fly.
They have talked about a number of deals the Cardinals have involving potential number 1 starters, and also the Fernando Vina talk about a second baseman, and Jimenez's name keeps popping up. Ibar's name keeps popping up. And there are some people. That's a fair ball. Hammonds drills it into the corner. Big turn at first, heading for 2, and he'll cruise in with a 2-base hit. So Jeffrey Hammonds gets his first hit of the young year after striking out looking his first time up. Tatis was up tight, guarding against a possible bunt even with 2 outs, and that proved to be the difference on this ground ball that gets by him.
Well, Hammonds is a swinger. He's up there to swing the bat, not necessarily work the count, especially with 2 outs. And he gets one of those sinkers that comes in on you right there. And Tatis will probably, with right-handers up, pretty much shade that line, because when Jimenez decides to go inside, that ball will tail in. A lot of ground balls down the third baseline.
Here's a runner out there for Barry Larkin. Larkin, a home run, 2 runs batted in on the young season. Shows you talk about speed, and there's another example of what speed can do. Had it been a normal base runner, then Tatis would have been deep, but he was even with the bag, and that enabled that extra 10 feet. You see where he's playing now against Larkin, 10 feet deeper. Had he been there, he probably would have been able to get the ground ball and have a chance at throwing out the speedy Hammonds. 1-0 to Larkin. Outside for a ball. Everyone that talks to the Cardinals want to talk about trading someone like an Ibar or a Jimenez, but everybody else wants to talk about an Ankiel or Hutchinson. And one of the reasons why people shy away from Jimenez is because of the mechanics you're talking about. The prospects are that sooner or later he's going to injure himself with those mechanics.
Yeah, it's not very often that you can really see somebody who is putting himself in jeopardy, but I may be going out on a limb, but I think Jimenez is one of those pitchers. When he starts building up number of innings, that shoulder is going to start barking.
Line drive right field. That'll drop for a hit. Davis has it. Here comes Hammonds. He'll score easily, and slipping rounding first is Larkin. He won't be able to get back, and McGuire will tag him out. The Reds get a run out of it, though. Larkin gets a run batted in. 2-0 Cincinnati. We'll take another look when we return after this. Back at Busch Stadium, the number 9 hitter for the Cardinals, Jose Jimenez, will lead it off in the bottom of 3, followed by Polanco and then Drew. 0 for 6 in his career is this native of the Dominican Republic, 6'3", 190 pounds, 25 years of age. He wasn't one of those shortstops from the Dominican Republic.
No.
You can tell the way he's swinging there.
He could have been a shortstop. And for defensive purposes.
Tomko walked McGuire in the first, walked Tatis in the second. The only 2 base runners he's allowed thus far. Boy, you went home last night, Chris, after we left the ballpark, and you sitting down in your hotel room. Here's the 1-2, slap foul, and you look at the score sheet on Pete Harnish, and it was impressive as we watched it. And when you look at it again last night, time and time again, 26 first pitch strikes to 32 batters. He was pumping strikes at the Cardinals all night long.
You know, and it's one of those rare situations too, and even Pete admitted it today. He goes, you know, you only get that couple of times a year when you feel like you have the stuff in which you can throw your breaking ball and all your pitches where you want to in the strike zone. So oftentimes, and pitchers will have their good stuff about 1 every 5 times. They'll have great stuff like Harnish had last night, maybe 1 out of every 15 times.
3-2 fouled off by Jimenez, and that's how mortal people look at Greg Maddux. It seems like he has that every time out. He doesn't, of course, but what he has is that much better than everybody else.
He has it every time out.
3-2. Pokey Reese. And there's 1 away. Another look at Barry Larkin's run scoring base hit. Look at this. They pitched him away, so you know that's what he's looking for. He's trying to go to the right side. He does. That gets the run in. They do nail him off first as he slipped. You can't see it right here, but he skidded that skid mark on the right. It was heavily watered before the game today and lost his footing, and by then he was a dead duck. But he got the run in. Different role for Larkin in the number 2 spot, and he's filled it comfortably so far. Polanco tries to bunt his way on, fouls it back for a strike. Pirates have gotten a run in the 4th. They trail the Cubs 3-2, bottom of 5 in Pittsburgh. How about Chris Benson last night? Wow.
That's what a number 1 pick ought to look like. You know, there's a question as to whether he was even going to make the ball club. Chris Benson, a pitcher for the Pirates who had that 6 shutout innings last night. But he certainly has solidified his place in the major leagues with the way he pitched in spring training. What, he lead all starters with a 0.75 earned run average during spring training.
He slammed a few Reds bats when we
he did.
played against him. He was very impressive against the Reds in Bradenton. And we'll get a look at him when the Pirates come to town. Polanco, fly ball to center, his first time up. Pretty good Pirate team, better team than last year. It's coming together, and they've got some good young players coming up through their system. 3 balls and a strike. Reese back, Young in, Dimitri has it. 2 away. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Reds or Fox Sports Net Ohio. You need confidence as a hitter and confidence as an outfielder too, and Dimitri said it. The 2 assists that he had on opening day, he said, you know, I really needed that. I wanted to get started in a positive way and feel good about my defense. And he did. Here's J.D. Drew, line to left, his first time up. A diving catch by Greg Vaughn in left. Former Gold Glover and All-Star for the Cardinals, Red Shandings, a member of the Hall of Fame, will be honored here tomorrow morning in St. Louis. They'll erect a statue in his honor outside the ballpark tomorrow morning. Said J.D. Drew very clearly has a chance to be a very special player. He said he's a little behind offensively, but everything else he does is above major league caliber right now. Tomko gets him with the changeup. Drew strikes out. 1, 2, 3 for Brett. We're heading to the 4th. Casey got it going with a home run. He's up for the 2nd time when we return. Mark it down, Friday, April 16th, Klosterman Magnetic Schedule Night. Be one of the first 25,000 fans when the Reds meet the Pirates. Receive the new Klosterman Magnetic Schedule. You won't miss a beat this year. It's Klosterman's Magnetic Schedule Night coming up when the Reds return home. Well, they pitched him up, they pitched him away. Right about the shoot tops is one way to stop him.
Well, you know, when you're a sinker ball pitcher like Jose Jimenez, you know, you have to pitch down because that's your forte. You're going to make the hitter adjust if he can. Of course, when you're a low ball hitter like Sean Casey, he comes right into your strength. Yesterday he said it. He goes, hey, that kid yesterday, Darren Oliver, he's going to pitch me down. He's going to get hurt. Same thing goes today with this right-hander.
Adjusting is so much part of this game to be successful, and when Sean came up last year, he was a blank slate. Pitchers didn't know much about him. They tested him, they'd pound him inside, and then they went away. And that testing mode continues, and it really doesn't end. We saw Frank Thomas for the first time in his career struggle last year because people started to pound him in and they saw a weakness, and now he's adjusted this year again. Casey so far has shown the ability to adjust. He'll inside out the ball, in on his hands. He'll take the ball away, and with authority. 2 of his 3 home runs have been to left and left center. And he'll protect like that. In the dirt, the 3-2, and there's a walk. A look at Casey's home run from last night away, and is from today a pull as you look at our Ohio Lottery instant replay.
You saw where the pitch was down and out over the plate. That one was down and inside. Got the bat head through on that baby.
Base runner on for the Reds with Casey is Dave Collins, the first base coach for the Reds, and over in the third base coach's box is Ronnie Oster. Here's Vaughn. Vaughn last night went back-to-back with Casey, and he almost did it again this afternoon. He hit a line drive to the warning track and left after Casey's home run. Takes a little off, and yes, he went around. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, if you're a guest hitter, and most every hitter is, if they don't call themselves guest hitters, they'll say, well, I think along with the pitcher. And you have a guy like Jose Jimenez out there, then you can pretty much, it's easier because he's only got 2 pitches he throws. One's a sinker, and he throws that almost exclusively, and occasionally that slider. But the slider really doesn't break that much. It's straight. And by comparison to his fastball, which really runs a lot, as you saw it right there, sinks and runs, that little slider can fool you, even though it does come in kind of straight. But when you only have 2 pitches to guess with, it makes you 50% right.
That's what Yogi always said.
The other 90% is mental.
2 balls, 2 strikes. On the corner. On question 1 call his first time up that seemed to be up and away. This one right on the outside corner. Is it a strike?
Jimenez has really made some pretty good pitches. This is a good one right here if it catches the corner. Pulley says it did. Starts outside, comes back. That looks almost like a Greg Maddux type of a fastball where you come right out the back door with it.
4 strikeouts for Jimenez. Here's Dimitri Young, who grounded to second. The man behind the plate, Frank Pulley, the crew chief on this crew, was one of the highest rated umpires in that recently released survey of Major League Baseball players. In fact, it was very interesting because Baseball America last year had a survey and Pulley was in the top 5 in both of those surveys. And the guy at first base, on the other hand, Charlie Williams, is in the bottom 5, so on the same crew. So take your pick.
How much credibility do you put into that survey, the Players Association survey?
I don't see any reason why we can't survey. I mean, they survey players, they survey best tools, they survey broadcasters, they survey general managers. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. I do think a lot of it has to do with demeanor, not just ability.
Yep.
I mean, in my mind, Bruce Fleming is one of the best umpires in baseball, but there are some who do not like his demeanor, and I think some players would rank him lower than his ability because of demeanor. Joe West is another would fit in that category. I do think you need checks and balances, and the umpires have not had and been subjected to checks and balances to this point. I think we're moving towards that. I mean, the umpire's contract will end at the end of this year. We're heading towards a showdown probably for next year. We may go into the new season next year without an umpiring contract or with some kind of a labor battle looming.
That will be very interesting to see how that plays out.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Dimitri. McGuire playing behind Casey at first. In the dirt, Casey's not going anywhere. It's very clear that the intent of Major League Baseball is to take both the American and National League umpires eventually and move them under one roof, not have them be separate entities unto themselves. That will be fought by Richie Phillips and the Umpires Association.
You know, usually you see, and when a ball hits the dirt like that, the umpire is going to check it, and the batter will ask to have it checked. When you got a sinker ball pitcher like Jimenez out there, and that ball hits the dirt, get a little scuff on it, you can really make it move, and he did. Got a ground ball out of it.
6-4 fielder's choice, and there's 2 away. Casey's retired at second, and Dimitri's on at first. Our Aflac trivia question of the day: since 1970, what 2 Reds have stolen 70 or more bases in a season? What 2 Reds have stolen 70 or more bases in a season? I'll have that answer for you coming up. Great to have Aflac with us in 1999 with some fun questions that we'll banter about during this year. Eddie was not one of those. Ricky Henderson, the all-time stolen base leader, now leadoff hitter with the Mets, but the guy whose record he broke was right here, Lou Brock of the St. Louis Cardinals. Henderson passed him in the 80s, and now Ricky closes in on 1,300 stolen bases. John Olerud had a great line the other day after Henderson had 2 home runs and 2 doubles, and he said, "Ricky, you're not doing your job. Keep hitting home runs, you can't steal bases." Ricky wasn't sure if he was joking or not at first.
You can hard to tell with Olerud sometimes, isn't it?
Popped up. Tatis. He dropped it. That's an error on Tatis, and now let's see if Eddie Taubensee can make good on it.
You know, you can almost see this coming. He's looking up into the sun. The wind is blowing hard in from right, and it keeps drifting and drifting, but in and out of that pocket. Need to get the goat head out of that glove.
Well, the new rubber models.
Those old vinyl gloves you see the T-ballers with.
Let's see if Taubensee can take advantage of the extra life. Eddie 2 for 11 and a home run at 182 in the young season. Here's the 1-2. Down and in 2-2. Not this time, as Polanco has it. Taubensee's retired. The Reds strand a base runner, the first base runner they have stranded this afternoon. They lead it 2-0 though. We're heading to the bottom of 4. McGuire due up first, so they're sitting in their seats waiting for Big Mac. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer, by First Star, your bank without boundaries, and by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. The best part of Cardinal baseball the last 2 years is number 25, Mark McGuire. Walked his first time up. Now 4 for 14 at 286 with a home run. He got that opening night to right center field. He was 1 for 4 against Harnish last night. Ball and a strike. 4 spot for the Pirates in the 5th. They lead the Cubs 7-3. Top of 6.
You know, Pete Harnish pitched McGuire so well last night by being able to spot his fastball, but also throw a lot of changeups. That's Greg Lynn. And
He's
the same
smart.
thing that Tomko's doing today, changing speeds on him. To McGuire and J.D. Drew, both very good fastball hitters.
Just missed that. He hit it a mile in the air. Vaughn under it. That went above the top of the stadium. He just missed it by an eyelash. 1 away.
Every time he swings the bat, you hear oohs and ahs, especially when he follows through like that. He knows he got it up and underneath that ball. Good hang time.
One away, and here is Eric Davis in the 4th spot in the order. Eric grounded to 3rd his first time up. What a year the former Red had last year. Comeback player of the year. Hit in 30 straight. This coming back after his surgery for colon cancer. And not only did he perform on the field, but he's added support to his friend Darryl Strawberry and to so many causes. You look at his career, he combined so many of the superlative traits of a great athlete. Line drive left, Vaughn there, has it. And one of those traits was speed. Speaking of that, our Aflac trivia question and answer. Since 1970, what 2 Reds have stolen 70 or more bases in a season? You probably got one pretty easy. The other one, Eric Davis, 80 and 86, and the Reds' first base coach, Dave Collins, 79 and 80.
Always a theme when Brian Hunterman comes up with one of these trivia questions. Both of those guys obviously in the ballpark today. Collie could get around the bases pretty good.
Collins not only good base runner, a good outfielder as well, and he was here in St. Louis as their base running and outfield coach, and he fills a similar role with the Reds now. Here's Tatis. Walked his first time up.
a much improved Brett Tomko this afternoon over opening day. Once he got past that first inning when it looked like he was a little bit jittery and uptight out there, George, he's been able to really locate, change speeds very well, really much smoother out there now than he has been. His fastball not reaching what it was sometimes last year. He'd throw it up there 93, 94 miles an hour. Today he's only 88 to 90. But still, when you can change speeds like Harnish did last night, doesn't matter how hard you throw.
One of the great assets, if you're smart and intelligent, if you're charting a game on a night that Pete Harnish had like last night, and he's a right-hander and you're a right-hander and you're facing the same lineup the next day, you can learn something from that. And Tomko's the kind of young pitcher that can do that. 2-2. Sometimes if the pitcher who's pitching is left-handed and he's a hard thrower and you're a soft thrower and you're right-handed, it's not going to help you a heck of a lot. But last night was a perfect prelude for Brett Tomko.
And you have to be able to have the confidence to use the pitches that'll work for you.
Gets that punch out. So Tomko now has 3 strikeouts on the afternoon. A 1-2-3. It's his second straight 1-2-3 inning. We're heading to the 5th. Here comes Steins. First pitch swinging. Chris Steins sends it to center field. J.D. Drew is under it, and there's one away. Hey, college students, grab some friends and head to college night at the Reds game on Friday, April the 23rd. Box and reserve seats are only half price for all college students as the Reds challenge the Houston Astros at 7:05. Looking for a great night of fun and excitement? Get your tickets in advance of game day to take advantage of this special night for college folks. Friday, April the 23rd, 7:05. Reds against the Astros. I guess you still have to pick Houston as the favorite in the Central, even though they've lost Moises Alou for a portion of the season.
You know, George, I don't know. I guess on paper, yes, because they've got good starting pitching. Larry Dierker, a good manager, and of course you got Billy Wagner to be able to finish off games. That's one ingredient the Reds don't have yet, is that closer that you can go to every game. Ouch.
Got Pokey in the forearm. Looked like a glancing blow, though. He appears to be okay. He'll shake it off, head down to first.
But I still think that that ball club, if Ken Caminiti can't come out and play every day, they're awfully right-handed.
You really thought in spring training, in the offseason at least, I thought they were going to sign Roger Clemens. And if they had, that certainly would have given them a leg up. Losing Randy Johnson, not signing Clemens, helps everybody else in the division. Caminiti holds a big key if he does come back and is healthy. Tomko show and bunt, takes it up high. Brett already has one sacrifice successfully in '99. They'll produce runs, no doubt about that. Pokey inches off first. Tatis charges from third. So does McGuire. There he goes. The throw to second won't be in time. It'll be wide. So Pokey gets his first stolen base of the year. He got a good break. That was the start of it. And secondly, Alberto Castillo just couldn't catch and throw fast enough.
That's really a heads-up play by the Reds. Don't know if it was called from the bench or Pokey did it on his own, but you see McGuire, he's got to sneak in so Pokey can get an extra lead right there. So on a sacrifice bunt doesn't mean you have to do it. Tomko pulled back, got the ball, and now he's going to get a chance to punch him over to third base. Yeah, I don't know why McGuire was so anxious to leave first base and try to field a ball on a sacrifice. The main thing is you want to keep that runner close enough to a possible play at second.
Pokey got 2 full steps of his run to second because McGuire left so early. 3 balls, 1 strike. Hammond's on deck, who's 1 for 2. Towards the hole, it's through. Reese had to hold, so he won't score, but it's first and third. Pokey had to wait to see if Dunston could get to it. He couldn't, so Tomko will get a base hit. And the Reds have first and third.
He'll be talking about this for a while. A base hit, first of the year for Tomko, or is it not?
Yes, it is. He was 0 for 1 coming in. 0 for 1 and a sacrifice.
Anytime the ball goes to the third base side of you and you're a base runner on second base, you've got to hold to make sure that baby goes through.
First and third, 1 out for Hammonds. Jeffrey struck out looking and doubled to left and scored on Larkin's single in the third. That gave the Reds their 2-0 lead. It came after Casey homered in the first. There is no action yet in the Cardinal bullpen, but just looking at the mechanics of Jimenez in this inning, appears to be laboring a little more than he had in the first 4. Right on the nose to Dunston. They'll get one, and on to first. Yes, they call him out. Charlie Williams called him out. Dave Collins took a long look at him. Hammonds doesn't think so, but it goes as a DP, and the Reds are robbed of a run. We're heading to the bottom of 5. Dunston, after starting the DP, will lead it off. Mark this down on your calendar. 2 o'clock tomorrow and Monday. Tomorrow, Reds and the Redbirds go at it again, the final game of this series from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It'll be Jason Beret against Donovan Osborne. Then on Monday at 2 o'clock, the Reds against the Cubs. We go to Wrigley. Steve Avery against Kevin Tapperty. Then we're back on the air Sunday, April the 18th at 1 o'clock. The Pirates at Synergy against Cincinnati. Hope you join us on Fox Sportsnet Ohio. Tomko against Dunston. Sean popped to short his first time up. Dunston, Castillo, and McEwing due up. Pirates 8-3 now over the Chicago Cubs, bottom of 6 in Pittsburgh. Another pop-up, short left field, Larkin calling. 1 away. In that Pittsburgh game, Jason Kendall has hit his first home run of the year. Ed Sprague has hit a grand slam. And for the Cubs, Houston has hit his first of the year. Rondell White has hit his first home run of the year for Montreal. The Expos are leading the Mets 2-1. Bottom of 5 in Montreal. Everything else later on. San Diego at San Francisco, Ashby and Gardner. Philadelphia at Florida, Schilling against Springer. Arizona at Atlanta, Johnson against Glavine. Colorado at LA, Kyle and Brown. And Milwaukee at Houston, Pulsifer against Holt. That's your National League rundown for tonight. In the American League, Toronto and Baltimore are hooked up in a good one. The Orioles got a run in the first. Lead it 1-0 now, bottom of 7 behind Mike Mussina against Toronto. Detroit and the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. 2-0 New York, bottom of 7. Moeller against the Rocket, Roger Clemens. How about Chili Davis? 2 home runs. He hit one yesterday. Now he's got 3. He hit another one today. Scott Brocious has hit his second. Center field hit pretty good. Hammond's on his horse. It's 1 hop off the wall. Alberto Castillo will have a 2-base hit. Well, last night it was Pete Harnish who spun his web. And here Brett Tomko allows a walk in the first, a walk in the second, and it's not until the 5th that he allows his first base hit, this double.
Fastball right out over the plate for Castillo. Even a 200 hitter is going to hit it if you lay it right there for him, and it gets it into the left center gap. Hammonds can't catch up with it. Cardinals have a threat.
Runner in scoring position, and here's McEwing with 1 out. And the pitcher due up next. Jimenez is in the on-deck circle. There is no one. Yes, there is now someone up in the bullpen for St. Louis. It's like Painter, Lance Painter. Yeah. McEwing, base hit towards the alley. Dimitri Young can't cut it off. The run will score. McEwing's going to try for 3. Rounding second. He'll be into third with a 3-base hit. So Tomko, back-to-back pitches, gives up a double, then a triple. The run scores, and it's now a 2-1 ball game.
Well, Joe McEwing must have heard me getting on him earlier about not having any power. He finds a gap right here. Dimitri Young can't stop it before it gets by him out there, and it goes all the way to the wall for a triple. But realistically, if you look at Alberto Castillo and Joe McEwing, those are the guys in this lineup that should not do you any damage. And Brett Tomko making too many easy pitches to these guys. You can't let the bottom of this order hurt you, because you certainly don't want to get it going for guys like McGuire.
Now let's see what La Russa does with the pitcher up. Only one out. Would he risk a squeeze? From the way Jimenez handled the bat the first time we saw him, it didn't look like he was that comfortable. In fact, now Rene Latchman at third whistles to him to step out and, hey, take a look at me. It looks like he didn't have a clue what the signs are. And now Latchman will have to come in and spell it out to him. We'll see how the Reds will respond. If there was something on, it probably isn't now. What do the Reds do? Do you pitch out on a 1-ball count?
It's a quick message, whatever. It's either nothing or bunt.
Runner not going. That's a base hit, and the run will score. It's a tie ball game, 2-2. Well, after holding the Cardinals scoreless in the span of 4 pitches, this is a new ball game. We're tied at 2.
That's the first major league hit for Jose Jimenez, and I've got to figure that if you're Jack McKeon or Don Gullett, they're about ready to tear their hair out, because these 7, 8, 9 hitters in this lineup should not hurt you. But you throw the ball right there, and you're going to find yourself in trouble. Tomko's got to have a strikeout of a pitcher that can't handle the bat in a situation like that.
Now to the top of the order. Jimenez on first. A double, a triple, and a single. It's 2-2. 2 runs, 3 hits for St. Louis, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Reds here in the bottom of the 5th. Polanco, fly ball to center, fly ball to right. Hey, make those quality times spent with your family and friends the best they can be by serving JTM's barbecue, hamburgers, ribs, and more. Go to your local grocer today and pick up JTM quick and convenient mealtime solutions. First hit is a memorable one for Jose. Got a run batted in out of it too, and he's now in a tie game. Casey, does he have room? Yes. Two away, and here comes Drew.
The last time up, Brett Tomko was able to handle J.D. Drew by throwing him a lot of off-speed pitches. The same thing happened with Harnish last night. Drew is a good fastball hitter, has a quick bat, nice level swing, but he's having problems so far with big leaguers changing speeds on him. How will Tomko go after him this time?
There's a strike. J.D. lined to left and struck out 0 for 2 on the year now, 1 for 12 at 083. Well, he came up like a whirlwind last year. Hit .417 with 5 home runs in the month of September.
There's the cambio from a 91-mile-an-hour fastball to an 81-mile-an-hour changeup, and Drew looks bad.
Oh, 2. Rounded foul. The count holds it. No balls and 2 strikes. Sustaining intensity. It's something that Brett Tomko has had difficulty doing the last couple of years. There are times where he'll just overmatch a hitter, as he did through the first 4 innings, and then here in the 5th with a 1 out. The bottom of the order: Castillo, McEwing, and Jimenez. Hit pretty good to left. Does Vaughn have room? To the edge of the warning track, to the wall, and he has it. Drew's bid for the go-ahead RBI snuffed out by Vaughn in the corner. But we've got a new ball game. Larkin, Casey, and Vaughn due up. Back to square one. Reds go to work against Jimenez, Larkin, Casey, and Vaughn. Barry. singled in a run. And a line drive to center, 1 for 2. Casey, 1 for 1, a home run. And Vaughn, 0 for 2. Popped up right side, heading towards the seats. It'll be out of play. A sea of red here in St. Louis, and a lot of the red has 25 on the back side of jerseys and jackets and everything else. That's the effect that Mark McGwire's had on this city. This is a city that cherishes its baseball tradition. Towards the hole, Dunston scoops it up and throws Barry out. There's one away. When we were here last September, they unveiled a statue, a second statue for Stan Musial. You got 3 statues, 3 ballparks named in his honor around the country, and for that matter, 1 in Poland as well. They'll honor Red Chainedinks tomorrow, and of course, Stan the Man, a native of Donora, Pennsylvania. That's also the hometown of a Reds coach who happens to be celebrating a birthday today.
You mean the coach of the century?
Uh-huh.
We're talking about the new bench coach, Ken Griffey Sr. Happy birthday, Griff. Happy birthday also to my daughter Erin, celebrating birthday number 12.
She's the daughter of the century.
Yes, she is.
There's Senior Griffey. He managed in the Arizona Fall League last year. He will also this coming winter manage in Puerto Rico as he continues his quest to be a major league manager.
You know who else is from Donora, Pennsylvania? Joe Montana.
Yep. The other high school, though.
Yeah.
From Griff's.
That's big enough to have 2 high schools?
Outside of town. Casey swings and misses. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Casey homered in the first, pulled it to right, gave the Reds a 1-0 lead, then walked in the 4th. Woo, ticks a trippy hop, but Dunston still handles it. Kicked right off the edge of the grass, but Sean had it. There's 2 away. Fox Sports Net Ohio welcomes our viewers watching on Frontier Vision Cable in Ada, Ohio, and Coaxial Communications in Amelia, Ohio. Thanks for watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio. Two away. Here's Vaughn, lined out and struck out looking. Given a second life, Jimenez made the best of it, singling in the tying run, and now he's got a 1-2-3 inning with 3 ground balls. His most effective inning of the day. 1-2-3. We're heading to the bottom of 6. Big Max ready to go. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by the new Dodge. Stop by and see the winning lineup at the friendly Dodge dealer near you. By Biggs, the average big shopper says they save about $22 every week. By Nations Rent, they can make it happen. For rental equipment, call 1-800-NO-SWEAT. And by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. Here's McGwire, a walk and a fly ball to left, leading off the 6th in a 2-2 ball game. Fastball away for ball 1. On the year, McGwire now 4 for 15 at 267. Big Mac attack. That's left field in the upper deck. Looks like a long, long way from home plate, and for the mortal man of baseball it is. But for Mark McGwire, it's reachable. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball up and in, 2-1.
And that really wasn't that much in. It was more up than anything, that pitch. But the way McGuire dives into a ball, anything that's up and even on the inner half of the plate, is going to make him fall back.
High in the air to right, but it'll stay in the park. Dimitri Young under it. One away. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by your local Lincoln Mercury dealer. Imagine yourself in a Mercury now. 0 for 3 today, 1 for 4 last night. McGuire. Tomko gets the first out in the 6th. He's been superb except for a 4-pitch lapse in the 5th. A double, a triple, and a single. A 2-0 lead evaporated, and we're tied at 2.
And you wonder, you know, when you look at the scoring and how the Cardinals' bottom part of the order has done the damage, if it wasn't just a mental letdown, because that's what can happen with McGuire in the lineup. You're so keyed up to pitch to McGuire and then Davis and then Tatis, who has 3 home runs this season, that after those guys get by, you may have a tendency to kind of relax a little bit, and all of a sudden you make a bad pitch or two and they can still hit the ball and put a couple runs on the board.
Tomko wants a new pelota, and he gets it from Frank Pulley. Eric today grounded out and lined out, 0 for 2. Now 2 for 18 at 111. 15 years ago, he debuted with the Reds in May of 1984. Came on like a ball of fire. 5 home runs in 4 games. Burst upon the scene. Did he go around? No, he didn't, said Charlie Williams. Two. Behind on the fastball, he gets Davis. Eric is 0 for 3. For Tomko, that is strikeout number 4 in his first in 2 innings.
Third baseman, Tatis.
There's Tatis. He walked and struck out. Hope you join us tomorrow. We're on the air at 2 o'clock again. Jason Beret against Donovan Osborne. Bounce back year last year for Eric Davis, and the Reds hope for Jason Beret and Steve Avery in this rotation. It's a bounce back year too. Popped up. Will it stay in play? Taubensee gives chase.
Oh! Didn't get it.
Is he all right? Get some help from Casey. Gets a hand from the fans here in St. Louis. He probably could have gotten it had it not been for a new addition they've added this year. It's a plexiglass shield. Watch as he goes over it.
Well, what a great effort by Taubensee. You know, he's not getting any help over there.
Wow.
A header right into the box seats.
See the plexiglass? That's because there were a series of foul balls of line shots that came into those seat areas. So they've added the plexiglass, but in Eddie's case, it kind of became a fulcrum for him. Like a seesaw, it went over it.
Please be aware of objects leaving the playing field. How about watch out for bullets coming into the stands?
Or catchers.
Line drives.
Well, the renovations here have put those seats only about 2 feet over players level, over the field level. It's a nice view, but it's dangerous. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Tatis. Got him.
Nice
Good bounce
pitch.
back by Tomko. Tomko bounces back after giving up 2 in the 5th. We're heading to 7. Dimitri Young, Eddie Taubensee, and Steins due up. Here's Dimitri Young to lead it off, top of 7. 2 ground outs. Eddie Taubensee and Chris Steins due to follow. Jimenez still in there for the St. Louis Cardinals. Dimitri sneaks it into left for a base hit, and he's on. Hey, the Regs and Biggs team up to present Biggs Kids Run at Synergy before each Saturday and Sunday home game. Biggs rewards area youth for their success in leadership, education, and citizenship. Look for these top students at your next weekend home game thanks to Biggs. Dimitri's on. And here's Taubensee. Eddie struck out and grounded out. There's a strike. 1 strike to the Reds catcher. Steins is on deck. John Hudek is up starting to loosen for Cincinnati. Eddie in a hole again, 0-2. Well, after being run ragged for 3 days, the bullpen got a day off with the off day on Thursday, and then got a night off last night thanks to Pete Harnish. So it's a rested bullpen again. Down to third. Double pumps the throw to first, way over everybody's head, but it doesn't go into the dugout, so Taubensee will be on. Good job by Dimitri, and you can really, more than anything, fault Tatis, who didn't deliver the ball to the second baseman Polanco right away, so that enabled Dimitri to get right on top of Polanco.
Third baseman, Chris Welsh.
It's a case of the third baseman hanging the second baseman out to dry. I don't know whether he didn't have a grip on it or what, but he threw that ball late, and you see Dimitri going in there like a big old beer barrel and knock over the second baseman.
Now let's see if Steins can take control of it. A beer barrel?
Take that, Polanco.
Take that, Dimitri. One out, one on. Here's Steins, who grounded out into a fly ball to center. A beer barrel.
Whatever comes to mind.
So it's not facial hair, it's foam now. Foam at the top of the barrel. He kept the inning alive thanks to the slide. Let's see if Steins can pick him up. Reese due to follow. Maybe decision time also for Jack McKean if the inning does sustain itself, because Tomko is due up after Reese. Inside, 3-0.
Well, both pitchers entered this inning with 92 pitches. Jimenez, you got to figure if this is first start, the 100 pitch mark is probably about where they like to keep him. Doesn't look like he's losing any stuff. But still in all, after going through the order a couple of times, and you make mistakes later in the game that you do earlier in the game, less likely you get away with them. That's when pitchers or hitters have seen you a couple of times and they're ready to jump on you.
3-1. Taubensee going, fouled off to the right side. So both managers trying to make something happen. Hit and run for Steins on the 3-1. Lance Painter up for the second time, loosening now for St. Louis. It's a bullpen that has Painter, Radinsky, and Moeller from the left side. Ibar, Busby, Batalico, and Acevedo from the right side. 3-2. Taubensee will be going again. Towards the hole and through. Taubensee around second, heading to third. He'll go there, and it's first and third. Good job by Steins to take advantage of the fact Polanco was 2 steps towards the bag.
Well, on the previous pitch, Steins tried to get it over to the right side and just got underneath it and fouled it away. You could see him going that way. So they try it again on the 3-2 count. Eddie taking a look behind him. The ground ball finds a hole, first and third.
Oh, so tempting for a second baseman, and you saw Polanco at the top of your screen take those 2 steps to the bag. That prevented him from getting to that baseball. Now we'll see if Reese can get the run in. Pokey's up, struck out, hit by a pitch, and stole a base in the 5th. Now what do you do with Steins? Do you send him? Do you try to get him in scoring position? Do you leave that hole open on the right side as Sweeney, with Tomko due up next, steps into the on-deck circle? And Tony La Russa is on his way out. Boy, Tony started out, nobody called time. Pulley's giving him a long look, said, look, nobody called time. Where are you going? Well, he's got a message because he doesn't need more time for Painter. Painter is ready. He's been ready for a while. The possibilities with Hammonds here are many. With 1 out, you could squeeze. Unlikely with Taubensee at third.
I think one of the things they're talking about is what they'll do in the event that Chris Steins decides to try to steal second base. Will they throw through? Will they let him steal second base? They'd like to keep the double play in order, of course, with Jimenez being a ground ball pitcher. But that's what Jack McKeon is thinking as well. Steins with 15 stolen bases last year. He can run a little bit.
There's a strike. This is not the ideal configuration for the double steal to try to get the run in. If it was Taubensee out at first and Steins at third, it would be more likely. The Steins has good speed from third to home. 1 strike delivery. Not going. Fouled at the plate, and it's 0-2 to Pokey.
Now this is where Jimenez really wants to make sure he's very careful about the pitches he throws to Pokey Reese. He's got that sinking fastball that comes in under the knuckles, can get a ground ball really whenever he needs to. He's got 10 outs by ground balls already, but he'd like a strikeout just as equally.
Set up away. Pitch is down and away for ball 1-2. Pokey, long look at Oster. A little bit bigger lead for Steins this time with a 1-2. Not going, down to third. They're going to try for 2. They'll get 1 on to first in time, and that snuffs out the Reds rally. Well, that time Tatis unloaded it in time to bail out Jimenez, and the Reds' threat goes by the boards to the bottom of 7. Still 2-2, and Dunston due up. For our Chrysler Plymouth game summary, Brett Tomko, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 hits. The 3 hits came back to back on 4 pitches. That produced the 2 earned runs and puts us in a tie. That came after the Reds took a 1-0 lead on Sean Casey's solo home run in the first, his 3rd of the year. And Barry Larkin has contributed with an RBI single as well. Add it all up, and we're tied at 2 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Dunston, Alberto Castillo, and McEwing due up.
Well, this was the part of the lineup that a couple of innings ago did all the damage. Sean Dunston popped out harmlessly to start the inning, but after that it was the roof caved in, at least temporarily, for Brett Tomko as the bottom of the order pushed across a couple of runs.
Tomko would have been pinch hit for had Reese prolonged the inning with Sweeney in the on-deck circle. Since he didn't, this will probably be Tomko's last inning either way. Loop to right. It will drop for a hit. Dunston has his first hit. He's 1 for 3.
Well, that's the batting style of Dunston that you referred to earlier, George, about how he has changed his style. Used to be much more of a free swinger, pulled the ball almost exclusively, but later in his career now, able to punch the ball to right field. If a pitcher going to give him an outside pitch, that's what it'll take. 93 pitches on the day for Tomko. Little short, compact, hitting off the front leg right there. Get you a base knock.
Here's Castillo. Strikeout and a double. Dunston represents the go-ahead run in a 2-2 ball game. See how Tony La Russa handles it now. Do you give Castillo a shot? Do you hit and run? Do you sacrifice? He's got McEwing, and remember the Cardinal bench has left-handed swinger Darren Bragg, who is available to pinch hit, although he has a jammed finger. Showing bunt, gets it down. It'll be successful. A sacrifice for Castillo. And here comes McEwing. McEwing contributed after a Castillo double in the 5th. His triple scored him. Renteria has come out into the on-deck circle with Jimenez due up next, and Gullett will talk to Tomko.
Obviously, on the agenda to talk about right here by Don Gullett is the fact that you've got a base open. McEwing has already hit a triple on the day. He's 1 for 2. You want to pitch to him and then make Tony La Russa make the move as Edgar Renteria comes to the on-deck circle, or do you go right after this guy?
We talked about Bragg, the right-handers available, Ordaz, Marrero, and Renteria, and Willie McGee, the switch hitter, available. Doesn't necessarily mean that Renteria would be the pinch hitter, even though he's in the on-deck circle. Here's McEwing. 1 for 2, a line drive to right and a triple to right. They still set up away, and there's a strike. McEwing has gone to the right side both times, and with 1 out, his job is to get the ball to the right side, to get the runner to third at the very least, and if it goes through, to get the runner home. Dimitri Young shallow in right, pulled towards the line a couple of steps, and Tomko will step off as a balloon comes onto the field and left. Dennis Reyes now up and throwing for the Reds in their bullpen.
That's about where they'd like to see him go and finish up this inning and bring in the bullpen.
Hudek and Reyes continue to throw in the Reds bullpen. That will get the runner to third. The Reds get the second out on the 4-3 putout. So Renteria will pinch hit. The decision now is the Reds, and Tomko will stay in to face Renteria.
Well, one of the things that straps you when you have 12 pitchers on your staff is that you don't have much of a bench to go to. That's what Tony La Russa has here. His first pinch hitter off the bench is against a right-handed pitcher is a right-handed hitter. Although Renteria is always known as a pretty good clutch hitter, the odds are against him.
That's a strike to Edgar. Renteria started last night at shortstop and led off. He was 1 for 4. Last year, Renteria 234 against left-handed pitching, 296 against right-handed pitching. High in the air to right. This will stay in the park, and Dimitri should put it away. Under it, the wind taking it, but he gathers it in, and Tomko has dodged another bullet. So the leadoff hit in the sacrifice, and now the Reds stay tied. We're ahead to the 8th. Tomko due up first. It looks like his day is done. We remain tied at 2. Say, spend time with your family at Reach Magazine Family Day, Saturday, April 17th, presented by Beanies and Baskets. It's a great family entertainment value. Head of the household pays full price. Rest of the family may purchase box and reserve seats for half price in advance of game day, thanks to Beanies and Baskets and Reach Magazine. Jose Jimenez day is done. New pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals is the former Philly Ricky Bottalico.
He spent some time on the disabled list last year. Bottalico did. Had bone chips removed from his arm in April. Was activated at the end of June. Didn't have a great year for the Phillies last year. He was just 1-5 with a .644 earned run average, but he's done pretty well so far this year. 2 games, a couple of innings, and 4 strikeouts for Bottalico on the year so far.
Bottalico will face the pinch hitter Michael Tucker, who's 1 for 3 against him in his career. Tucker has had only 1 at bat in this first week. We talked about it earlier, the difficulty to try to get at bats for your bench players, a key, and especially when you have as many fine bench players as Jack McKeon has hitting from the left side of the plate. Sweeney, Morris, Tucker. (2-0). There's a strike. Jack trying to come up with some late lightning for his Reds team. Tomko's day is done. Jimenez day is done. Both of them pitched well. They exit in a 2-2 tie. Chris, I think after the opening day performance, outstanding second performance for Brett Tomko today.
Oh, it really was. Very nice to see Brett Tomko go out there, really attack the hitters, use all of his pitches, and even when he got into some trouble, he pitched himself out of jams. Last inning, a great way to finish up an outing because he had that man down there in scoring position, left him out there, made some very good pitches to get out of the inning. So good job by Tomko today. Certainly something to build on.
He cannot be the loser in the game. He could still be the winner if the Reds rally here in this inning and score. 3-2 to Tucker. Center field, a solid line drive, base hit for Michael. So the Reds have the leadoff hitter on against Bottalico here in the 8th. And to the top of the order, Jeffrey Hammonds. Hammonds looks at Oster, rolls through signs. Our Ohio lottery results from Friday: pick 3, 833, 833, pick 4, 3329, 3329, Buckeye 5, 5, 7, 13, 14, 19, 5, 7, 13, 14, 19. Look out.
Wow. Talk about a wake-up call. That ball is right over the dome right there. Hammonds comes up looking at Bottalico. Bottalico, no stranger to throwing inside. He hit Barry Bonds last year after coming off the disabled list, and that sparked a bench clearing brawl. He was suspended for 4 games. They finally reduced the suspension on him, and he'll come in on you.
Bottalico, a great success story. He was a non-drafted free agent signed by the Phillies. He was a catcher in high school and college. Went to Florida Southern and Central Connecticut College, and one step away from being out of baseball. He became a reliever in 96 and 97, had 34 saves each year for the Phillies before his arm difficulties. 1-1 to Hammonds. Tucker short lead. Michael will steal a base from time to time. He's not a primary base stealing threat. He'll get 8 to 10 stolen bases a year. A little bit bigger lead. He's not going. Pitches up high. Erratic is what Batalico has been when he's had difficulties, and there's a good example.
He just seems like one of those pitchers that muscles the ball to the plate. He's a very stocky man. His mechanics go out of sync, they can really go bad.
2 balls, 1 strike. Shows bunt again, punches at it and fouls it off, and it's 2-2.
Interesting, George, you say Batalico went to Florida Southern College in Lakeland, Florida. They must have a monopoly on hard-throwing right-handers, because so also did Brett Tomko, John Hudek, and Rob Dibble all went to that same college.
Not necessarily for long periods of time,
No.
any of them.
Tough
Great
studies.
program, yeah. Outstanding baseball program.
Chuck Anderson.
Hey, got a craving for great ribs? And visit the Montgomery Inn, located downtown on the river at the Boathouse, or stop by the original Montgomery Inn in the heart of Montgomery. 2-2.
Pretty good numbers career-wise. Batalico versus the Reds. 117 Ernie.
He's showing bunt at 2-2, and he gets it down. So good job by Jeffrey Hammonds. Jack McKeon doesn't deter. He keeps the bunt on with 2 strikes. Hammonds gets it done. So a sacrifice for Jeffrey, and that leaves it up to Larkin.
Interesting that was really the only strike that Hammonds tried to bunt at in that entire at bat. Finally, Batalico throws him a pitch that's in the strike zone that he gets the ball on. Because sometimes a manager like McKeon will put that bunt on, and if you don't get it done with 2 strikes, he's going to keep it on. Put the pressure on you to get that man over. Good job there by Jeffrey Hammonds.
So now the go-ahead run at second, and Michael Tucker, and here's Larkin, line to center, single to right, knocked in the Reds' second run and grounded to short. Barry consistently around 300 every year for the Reds with runners in scoring position. When the Reds went to Philadelphia for the first time last year was when Batalico first experienced his arm troubles. He left the ball game, and then 2 days later was put on the disabled list. Popped up, heading towards the seats. It'll be out of play. And Ricky came up with the same kind of problems that Jeff Brantley had to deal with. Coming back from surgery. Of course, Brantley's surgery was much more extensive, but trying to rush back. And Jeff Brantley wasn't 100% at the start of last year, and Ricky Batalico wasn't 100% when he came back last year. I think he feels that as this year progresses, he'll get stronger and stronger, and you wouldn't be surprised to see him eventually be the closer here if he's physically fit.
And both of those guys being power pitchers, you have to figure take a little bit longer coming back after surgery to get that extra pop back.
1-1 to Larkin. Tucker off second. Down and in for a ball. The deal between the Cardinals and the Phillies sends Batalico here, and of course Ron Gant and Brantley are both in Philadelphia now. Brantley's got 2 saves already. 2-1. Down, ball 3. Now Larkin in the driver's seat. 3 balls and 1 strike.
This certainly is not the Ricky Batalico that has logged those 6 saves against the Reds in his career. You can remember him just pretty much rocking back and playing Powder River fastball, trying to sneak it by Larkin with the breaking ball. That's also an indication that he's not feeling too good about his stuff when you try to pick a guy off second base.
Polanco's about 10 feet from the bag. He's given Larkin a big hole at second, and Barry can easily take advantage of that. 3-1. A strike inside.
That 85-mile-an-hour fastball right there by Batalico, really about 8 to 10 miles an hour slower than he used to throw it when he was on the top of his game.
Hey, well, we haven't seen him all spring because the Cardinals are on the east coast of Florida, but his velocity is down and his breaking ball is nowhere near what it was, at least at this stage of 99. 3-2 to Larkin. Ball 4. So now first and second with one out for Sean Casey. A base hit, a sacrifice, and a walk. And Duncan's not going to wait any longer. He'll go to the bullpen. So while the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio.
Well, the left-handed pitcher Scott Radinsky will come into the game. The numbers on him this year in 2 games been pretty good. Last year, of course, he was with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the fact that he had saved 13 games but blew 11 other chances was the main reason the Dodgers went out to the Reds and got Jeff Shaw. So Radinsky, one of the guys they figure to be a closer here. Juan Acevedo, the right-hander, the other one. He comes in here to see if he can't retire left-handed hitting Sean Casey.
Against the Reds in his career, 0-1 with that 3.86 earned run average. 9 1/3 innings pitched. He's allowed 4 earned runs in his career against Cincinnati. In his ideal role, he's a great setup guy. He's been pushed into closing situations a couple of times in his career, but this is his most comfortable role, and Sean Casey will face him for the first time in his career. Casey today, a home run to make it 1-0 Cincinnati, a walk, and then a ground ball to short. Go ahead run, Tucker at second, Larkin's on at first. High in the air to center field, hit pretty good. Tucker's tagging at second. Drew has it. Tucker's on his way to third, and he'll get there easily. Well, Casey hopped on the first straight thing he saw and got pretty good wood on it, but Drew was there to make the catch, and the Reds, with 2 outs now, have the go-ahead run at third. Now the opportunities are manyfold for the Reds, with Larkin good speed at first, Tucker good base runner at third, with Vaughn at the plate. The only difference is, do you want to take the bat out of Vaughn's hands? Do you send Larkin? Do you get him in scoring position too? Or do you just let Vaughn take his rips at Radinsky? In his career, Vaughn is 3 for 12, a .250 average against Radinsky. We'll see what La Russa does. He's got a right-hander thrown in the bullpen. He'll send Duncan out. Duncan was not ready. La Russa went out just to get Frank Pulley's attention, to let him know somebody was coming out. So one pitch, Radinsky gets the left-hander he's been sent on to face, and now the right-hander will come in. We'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio.
Juan Acevedo, the right-hander, will come in to see if he can't get out of the inning, facing Greg Vaughn. So Tony La Russa, playing percentage baseball, brings in the lefty Radinsky to face Sean Casey, and now Acevedo, who is the closer here in St. Louis, to face Greg Vaughn. Acevedo last year came over from the Mets right at the beginning of the season, and he had been a starter over with the Mets, but he ended up a pretty good successful second half of the year because he had 10 saves and 17 shutout innings to his credit in his last 15 appearances. But he's bulked up a little bit, George.
Wow.
Has he not?
I mean, since the last time he put on maybe at least 10-12 pounds. He's a young man who came up the fast track as a starter in the minor leagues. In fact, was originally one of the original draft picks of the Colorado Rockies. Was a pitcher of the year in the Eastern League a couple of years ago. I saw him pitch in the Eastern League, and he was the dominant pitcher. The Rockies moved him to the bullpen. The Mets placed him in the bullpen too. They traded him in the Rigo Beltran trade last year. He is, after closing 15 of 16 games last year, the closer right now for this Cardinal team. So it's a big test for Greg Vaughn, who's 0 for 2 in his career against Juan Acevedo. Vaughn, line drive to left, strikeout, and a ground ball to third. The go-ahead run, Tucker at third, Larkin's over at first. Ripped but caught by Tatis. He hit it right on the nose, but it was right at Tatis. You can't hit it much harder than that, but the Reds come up dry, strand 2. They've stranded 5 to the bottom of 8, still tied at 2.
Well, a new pitcher for the Reds will pick up for Brett Tomko. Tomko, an excellent outing today. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs overall, walked a couple and struck out 5. He'll give way to the hard-throwing young man who made a spot on the roster by having an outstanding spring, Scott Williamson. You see the numbers on Scott this year in 2 innings. He's been scored on 1 time. John Hudek had been up and warming up down in the bullpen for a couple of innings, but it's Williamson that gets the call. Good job by Brett this afternoon.
He's sitting on the edge of his seat hoping the Reds could get him a run and give him the lead. But as it turns out, we remain tied and Williamson will go to work. And he's got some work to do. Top of the order, Polanco, then Drew, McGuire, and Davis. So Williamson gets right into the middle of the fire. Scott, on opening day, became the first Reds pitcher to make his major league debut in only his 3rd year since Tomko did it for the Reds back in 1997. Here's Placido today, 0 for 3, 2 fly balls to the outfield and a pop up to first. Drew on deck. No balls, 2 strikes. That's what Williamson did all spring, kept pumping strikes at people.
And hard ones, 97 miles an hour that last pitch.
Down the right field line and out of play. Well, we talk about learning, and Tomko observed Harnish and used his changeup and his off-speed deliveries to great success today in his 7 innings of 4 hit 2-run work. A little bit different story for Scott Williamson, though. He does not have a changeup that matches either Tomko or Harnish.
No, but he's got a forkball that is very good when he can get it over. You saw the slider right there breaking out of the strike zone. And for a short reliever like Williamson, he doesn't have to conserve his energy. Right now, they'll tell him go as hard as you can, as long as you can. Really, we only need an inning or 2 out of you, Scott, so go get him.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Down and in, 2-2. Award-winning Boomers products support a great cause, cystic fibrosis. Your purchase provides a donation to the Boomer Esiason Foundation to find a cure for cystic fibrosis. Tried to get him to bite on the slider. He doesn't, and it is now full after being 0-2.
Pretty gutsy pitch right there on a 2-2 count. The old pitching adage is don't throw what on 2-2 what you won't be afraid to come back and throw on a 3-2 count.
Missing down and away, and a leadoff walk here in the 8th. Let's go back to the last out of the top of the 8th. Vaughn just drills it at Tatis. Can't hit it much harder than that. Now it's trouble territory for Williamson. A walk, and here comes Drew. Drew lined out, struck out, and flied out against Tomko.
And Tomko handled him well, George. You talked about Brett's changeup today. It was most effective on J.D. Drew.
This is the part of the order where speed won't do. I mean, Drew and McGuire, and certainly McGuire behind him, can turn around even the best fastballs. Ball 1 to J.D. Drew. Just foul. Ahead on a pretty good fastball.
You know, that gives you an indication right there that you're absolutely right about how hard you throw. It doesn't matter. J.D. Drew can get the head going, so can Mark McGuire. But you can also get a ground ball and help yourself get out of the inning.
Base hit left center. Here comes Hammonds. The runner will go to third. It's first and third. And no one out. And you know who's coming up. Reds and Don Gullett will go to the bullpen as Williamson is allowed a walk and a base hit. And while the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio.
Well, Drew, the previous pitch had hit a foul ball off a fastball, coming right back with the heater, this time coming out over the plate. J.D. Drew up to the challenge. A solid base hit to center field. First and third, the Cardinals go, and a new pitcher for the Reds in John Hudak. Hudak in his career against Mark McGwire, who is the due-up hitter. McGuire's 0 for 3.
So Hudak has his work cut out for him. Here comes McGwire. 2 on, first and third, bottom of the 8th in a 2-2 ball game. Listen to this greeting from McGwire. Big Mac today, a walk, fly ball to left against Tomko. Down and away, ball 1. Eric Davis is on deck.
Well, that's what John Hudak retired Mark McGwire on last year. Painted a couple of sliders on the outside corner. McGwire didn't look good.
The Reds put the shift on, so anything to the right side is through and will knock in the go-ahead run. And he's pitching them away, too. Breaking ball away, and it's 2-0.
Boy, this is as a severe shift as I've seen. Last night, Pokey Reese pretty much playing right up the middle. Now he's in a normal shortstop spot.
Ball 3. Now you might as well walk him. Three and 1 to McGwire.
McGuire, he may have swung at ball 4 right there just so he wouldn't get walked.
3 balls, 1 strike. Hudak to the stretch to Big Mac. Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. Still no one out. Well, whether it was by design or intention, Hudak wanted no part of McGwire, and now he'll face Davis. It's a much better matchup for Hudak, but he needs a strikeout here. The Reds will have to bring the infield in. Obviously, in a 2-2 ball game in the 8th, the play will be to home.
Well, John Hudak is a fly ball pitcher, and Eric Davis is a fly ball hitter. So the odds of a double play are diminished.
And it's a similar scenario with Tatis in the on-deck circle. So for Hudak, it's a tough road right here. Eric Davis throughout his career has been exceptional with the bases loaded and with runners in scoring position. Way outside, and it's 2-0. And Taubensee will go out and talk to Hudak.
Well, it's the bullpen that has given Jack McKeon a couple extra gray hairs here the first part of the season. Blowing leads, not being able to throw strikes, and it's a rerun all over again here in Game 5.
Line drive, base hit, 2 runs will score. Here comes run number 3, here comes run number 4. Now you pitch behind and you get up, and that's exactly what happened to Hudak. He was behind, he got up, and Davis made him pay. So Eric Davis, the former Red, burns the Reds here.
Misses with a couple. You got to come in there, probably with a fastball. That's what Eric Davis is thinking, and he shoots it right by the drawn-in Pokey Reese or Barry Larkin.
4-2 St. Louis. Both of those runs are charged against Williamson. The walk and the base hit. The runner on second and the runner on first both belong to Hudek now. Here's Tatis. Walk, strikeout, strikeout. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio, brought to you by the new Dodge. Stop by and see the winning lineup of cars, trucks, minivans, and SUVs at the friendly Dodge dealer near you. Two-one to Tatis. And another 3-ball count, 3-1. Dunston in the on-deck circle. Pitching behind and walks. Kill the Reds in the first 3 games at home, and in this inning it's happened again. Ball 4, bases are loaded again. A walk, a single, a walk, a single, and a walk. And Don Gullett will be out to the mound again, and that'll be it for Hudek. The inability to throw strikes out of the bullpen has put the Reds where they are in a 1-3 record going into today's ball game, and they put them behind here. So Hudek's brief outing is over. 10 balls, 3 strikes of 13 total pitches for John Hudek. While the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net Ohio.
4-2 the Cardinals over the Reds in the bottom of the 8th. The third pitcher of the inning. Still nobody out in the inning. First it was Scott Williamson. He walked a man, gave up a base hit to J.D. Drew. Then John Hudek came in and walked Mark McGuire. Gave up a base hit to Eric Davis, scored a couple of runs. After another walk to Fernando Tatis, Hudek was through, and here's Danny Graves. No place to put anybody as the Cardinals are full of on the bases.
You can't fault the Reds starting pitching in their last 3 games. Steve Avery, 6 no-hit innings and exited in the 7th, and the bullpen couldn't hold it. Last night, Pete Harnish, a complete game victory, and today, Brett Tomko, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. But the bullpen, which appeared to be a strength when the spring training year began, has thrown gas on the fire again. And Graves has his work cut out for him here. Bases loaded, still no one out. Reds have to bring the infield in. That compounds Danny Graves' difficulties. Here's Dunston, pop up, single to right.
Well, the one thing the Reds have going for them here, even though they're down by 2, is the fact that Graves is a ground ball pitcher. When he is right, his sinker's down around the knees, and it's awfully tough to elevate a ball off of him. So a chance of turning a double play, much better than when John Hudek was in the game.
Appeared to be a lot worse than it is. Look where Dunston is, and look where the ball is. Not that much off the plate at all, but Sean diving into the plate made it look a lot closer. 1 ball, 1 strike. Graves would love a punch out here. Castillo is on deck. Got him to wave at it, and then there's your first out of the inning. So Danny Graves gets the strikeout he wanted. And now here comes Castillo. A double play now can get the Reds out of it. The decision.
Excellent sequence of pitches there by Danny Graves. He kept the sinker in on Sean Dunston the entire at bat until the last pitch when he broke off the slider on him. So a big strikeout for Danny.
Reds will keep the corners. Steins at third, Casey at first, in even with the bag, and Larkin and Reese will drop back halfway. Castillo struck out, doubled and scored in the 5th, and sacrificed in the 7th. They're calling interference. It'll be interference. The runner is called out. Larkin not able to get into position to make the play. The runner will be called out, and Larkin, he probably would have got the out at home plate. They would have gotten the force anyways. So it'll go 6 unassisted on your scorecard. The runner called out. The bases will remain full.
A heady play by Larkin. This ball, you see Davis coming off. He's going to hesitate right there. When he does that, Larkin runs right into him. He probably would have had to play at the plate. Danny Graves points, and now he's within an out of getting out of the inning.
You have to allow the fielder the opportunity to field the ball. Larkin made the most of the opportunity. And now, if the Reds can get the final out here, they will have dodged an even bigger bullet. Yes, they're behind by 2, but this had the makings of an exploding inning. So it's interference. It goes as 6 unassisted on the putout. And McEwing, who tripled in a run earlier, 1 for 3 is at the plate. There's a strike, and it's 0-2. Well, of all the things that have gone wrong out of the bullpen, Danny Graves is a strike away from the closest thing to a miracle that the Reds have seen in a long time. Bases loaded, no outs. He's within a pitch of getting out of this. Ball and 2 strikes. Willie McGee has moved into the on-deck circle with the pitcher due up next. He got him. Good job by Danny Graves, but it came after the horses were out of the corral. The Reds walked themselves into trouble. They trail at 4-2 and 1 at bat left. Dimitri Young, Eddie Taubensee, and Steins due up. Strange game that it is. Juan Acevedo came in and delivered 2 hard-hit balls, one by Casey to the warning track in center, the other a bullet off the bat of Vaughn. Both of them found leather, so he lived to go to the 9th, and now he's 3 outs away from a victory. Dimitri Young, Eddie Taubensee, and Steins due up.
In fact, the Reds have hit into somewhat poor luck right from the very beginning after a strikeout to start the game by Hammonds. The next 4 balls hit off of the starter, Jose Jimenez, were rockets. Only one of them was a base hit. That was the home run by Casey.
Now Reds will have to play come from behind baseball. They trail 4-2. Here's Dimitri 1 for 3. Grounded to second. Bounced into a force and singled to left. Two-0, missing outside. No action in the Cardinal bullpen. Acevedo, who is the closer on this club, it's his game right now. Up high. Reds need base runners first. So Dimitri will wait him out here, 3-0. A strike. the hands, fouled off, and he'll go full 3-2. It's a final in Pittsburgh. Pirates win it 9-3. 3-3 the Mets and Montreal. They're now in the bottom of 9 in Montreal. San Diego leads San Francisco 1-0. Top of 3 in San Francisco. Everything else later on. We got him with a strikeout. Strikeout number 1 for Acevedo. In that Pittsburgh game, Cordova gets the win. Woodall takes the loss. Kendall and Sprague homered for Pittsburgh. Houston for Chicago. American League, Baltimore beat Toronto 1-0. Messina gets the win. Carpenter takes the loss. Timlin gets his second save. Taubensee high in the air to left, hit pretty good. McEwing, warning track, edge of the wall, and he has it. Reds down to their final out. And Steins will hit. So Jack McKeon saw another great starting performance get wasted. Tomko, if he joined us late, went 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. Exited the game 2-2. And then the Reds bullpen, 3 walks, couple of hits, and bingo, 2 runs in the 8th. And St. Louis has a 4-2 lead and 1 out away from a victory. Yankees beat Detroit 5-0. Clemens wins his first. Moeller takes the loss. Chili Davis his 3rd home run. Scott Brocious his 2nd. And Kansas City leads Chicago 7-4, going to the 9th in Chicago. Your scoreboard update. A reminder, we'll be back on the air tomorrow at 2 for the final of this series. 2 balls and a strike. Here comes Tatis, bare hand play. The throw is high, but McGuire gets his foot down in time. Now Mark McGuire didn't go deep, but the deep Cardinal bullpen came up with a victory here. 4 runs, 6 hits, and an error for St. Louis. 2 runs, 7 hits, and no errors for Cincinnati. The Cardinals even the series with the Reds at 1 win apiece. We'll be back to tell you more about it on Fox Sports Net Ohio after these messages. Here are the final numbers on this one. 43,759 at the ballpark, just shy of 3 hours worth of baseball, 2 hours and 58 minutes. For the Cardinals, 4 runs, 6 hits, and an error. For the Reds, 2 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. The Cardinals left 7 on base. Cincinnati left 5 on base on the afternoon. Juan Acevedo gets the win, an inning and a third of relief. He's 1-0. Scott Williamson takes the loss. He's 0-1. Walked a batter and gave up a base hit to start the 8th inning that proved to be the decider. Time to look at our highlight picture of this game, our Advance Auto Parts play of the game. It's a former Red who does in the Reds on this afternoon in the 8th with the bases loaded. Eric Davis.
On a 2-0 count from John Hudak. Hudak has to throw a strike. Eric Davis able to get it into play with a line drive. A couple of runs score right there. Those are the 2 runs that provided the Cardinals with the victory.
Our Advance Auto Parts play of the game. Our first Star Bank player of the game is none other than E.D., the former Red. After going 2 for 19 to start the season, came up with that big hit. The single to center gave the Cardinals a 4-2 lead, and they win it 4-2. He's done that so many times for the Reds and for the Dodgers and the Orioles. Today he does it for the Cardinals, Chris.
He's a clutch hitter, not the guy you want to see when you face him in a situation like that. He came through and burned his former team.
So the Reds now even in the series, 1-4 on the year. They lose it by a final of 4-2. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Jason Beret against Donovan Osborne will be on the air at 2 o'clock for the final from St. Louis. Here, the Cardinals have beaten the Reds by a final score of 4-2. For Chris Welch, our entire crew here at St. Louis's Busch Stadium, this is George Grand. The final score again, the Cardinals beat the Reds 4-2. Williamson the loser, Acevedo the winner. See you at the ballpark, everybody.